Let's begin by telling you that National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu has announced that President Bola Tinubu has signed a bill establishing the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons. Ribadu, represented by the Director of External Affairs at the Office of the National Security Advisor, Ibrahim Babani, shared this update at the workshop on gender mainstreaming in preventing the proliferation of small arms and light weapons in Nigeria and the West African sub-region held on Tuesday in Abuja. This workshop was organized by the National Center for the Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons. The NSA highlighted that the president's assent to the bill marks a significant step in the government's efforts to combat the proliferation of illegal arms. In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu has appointed Ojukaye Amakri as the new Director of Energy Security in the Office of the National Security Advisor. The appointment was announced in the statement by ONSA's Head of Strategic Communications, Zakari Mijanyoa. He described the appointment as part of the government's commitment to ensuring a stable, sustainable, and secure energy supply for the country. The statement says the move underscores the president's focus on bolstering energy security and addressing supply chain issues. Amakri will work closely with various stakeholders, including government ministries, security agencies, energy sector regulators, international partners, and community leaders to implement solutions to Nigeria's energy challenges. Meanwhile, President Bola Tinubu has extended his condolences to the Tijaniya movement in Nigeria following the death of 14 members in an auto crash on Sunday. Several others sustained injuries in the accident. The victims were traveling from Kwandari in Plateau State to attend a Maulud Nabi celebration in Saminaka, Kaduna State, when their bus collided with a truck. Tinubu expressed sympathy to the families of the deceased, the injured, and the governments of Kaduna and Plateau states. The president prayed for the repose of the souls of those who lost their lives. He also directed the Federal Road Safety Commission to enhance highway monitoring efforts to reduce the frequency of road accidents across the country. To politics now, opposition is growing against the emergence of Callistus Okafor as the factional national chairman of the Labour Party. In separate interviews, Labour Party's National Secretary Umar Farouk and the Deputy President of the Nigeria Labour Congress Political Commission, Theophilus Ndubuaku, disowned Okafor and his faction. Now, while the spotlight has been on the rift between Julius Abure-led National Working Committee and a 29-member caretaker committee headed by former Minister Nenadi Usman, Okafor took the opportunity to announce his faction's presence. The Independent National Electoral Commission has reaffirmed that Julius Abure's term as Labour Party National Chairman ended in June 2024. This statement comes in response to Labour Party's lawsuit challenging its exclusion from INEC's training for party agents ahead of the Edo and Ondo governorship elections. INEC has declared Labour Party's leadership, including Abure, as invalid and does not recognize the party's March 2024 National Convention, which purportedly re-elected Abure. The commission argues that the convention breached the Constitution and Electoral Act and maintains it only engages with parties having valid leadership. INEC is urging the court to dismiss Labour Party's suit, emphasizing that March 2024 convention did not comply with legal and regulatory standards. To discuss the Labour Party crisis, we're joined by Counsel for Labour Party, Monday Mawa. Hello, Monday. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Hello, Monday. Can you hear me? All right, we will try to reconnect with Monday. Now, still talking politics, the Edo State PDP governorship candidate Asue Igedalo has responded to recent comments by Nyesom Wike, the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory. Speaking to the press, Ighodalo stated that Wike does not have the authority to decide the next governor of Edo State, stating that the people of the state will decide. This followed Wike's claim that he refused to back Ighodalo in the upcoming September 21 election, despite Governor Obaseki's efforts to secure his support. Wike also addressed concerns about the Edo resident electoral commissioner, Anugbum Onuoha, who is his cousin, saying he will not support any candidate. Ighodalo expressed disappointment, saying that this was not the impression from their earlier meetings. Away from politics, residents of Maitama, Katampe, and Pape and their surrounding areas in Abuja have expressed concerns over cases of earth tremors which have persisted since the weekend. Earth tremors, a minor or brief movement of the Earth's surface triggered by the same forces responsible for earthquakes, had been previously reported in the capital in September 2018, which was set to occur at magnitude 3.2 around Mpape. Residents in multiple reports said that the latest incident occurred on Saturday and persisted to the early hours of Tuesday as they experienced recurring vibrations. The tremors, which have caused widespread concern, were most notably felt between 11 p.m. and 11:20 p.m. on Monday. Now to a business-related story. Reactions have trailed Nigeria's inflation rate that slowed for 2 consecutive months from 34.19% in June to 33.40% in July and now 32.15% in August. The Lagos state government has threatened to demolish 280 illegal structures to forestall the creation of slums, distortion of the Lagos State Master Plan, and erosion of the state coastal area. A statement by the Commissioner for Waterfront Infrastructure Development, Ekundayo Alebiosu, on Tuesday said notices have been issued to the owners and occupiers in the Mayagun waterfront scheme located in the Etiosa local government area of the state. Mayagun said the contravention notices required the occupants to provide relevant documentation and approvals that justify the occupation of the properties in question within 7 days of the notice, and failure of which a demolition notice will be served on them. The over 280 properties, which included completed under construction and also undeveloped lands, were found to be without any government papers authorizing their construction after a detailed technical assessment of the Mayagun waterfront scheme. Let's head to Zamfara State now, where the government has assured citizens of the state of its commitment to transforming the lives of residents in the state. Now, the senior special assistant to the governor on broadcast media, press and public affairs, while speaking to News Central television crew in Gusau, the state capital, says that much has been achieved since the current government came into office. News Central's Emmanuel Bagudu reports.
This is one out of the several construction works ongoing within and outside Gusau, the Zamfara state capital.
Governor Dr. Dauda Lawal came with smart initiatives of 6 uncommon rescue agenda of his administration during his electioneering campaign. He vigorously pursued his election campaigns based on 6 smart agenda of rescue mission to Zamfara that has to do with security. First, which each and every person knows that security has become a precarious issue in Zamfara and by extension northwestern part of the country. And then there is the issue of apart from the security, we have also education challenges. Then we have that of the health challenges. Then number 4, we have agriculture. Then we have water supply. Then number 6 is women and youth empowerment.
The state government says that it is determined to give the state capital Gusau the status of a real capital, away from what many described in the past as a glorified local government. State government already has a development plan in place and reels out expectations for the next 3 years.
The first month, between May and June, he paid the civil servants, their entitlement, their salaries. He paid the pensioners their salaries. He restored electricity. Gusauda was not having power supply, steady power, water supply. He went to the water board. He has examined all the problems. He brought new brand engine and everything. That was how he picked up.
There is no doubt that the current developmental strides of Governor Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State has raised the hope of the people of the state. It is hope that this feat is sustained. In Gusau, the Zamfara State capital, for News Central, I am Emmanuel Bagudu.
It's time for a break now. When we come back, we'll tell you how educators highlight challenges and call for improvement. Do stay with us. Welcome back and thank you for staying with us. So right now we'll move to the Labour Party's leadership crisis and how Abure's tenure as national chairman is set to have expired in June 2024, and this is according to INEC. Now, like we said earlier, we actually have a Labour Party counsel, Barrister Monday Mawa, with us to speak on this. Hello, Barrister Mawa. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
All right, so go ahead and tell us what your take is on the emergence of Callistus Okafor as the new factional national chairman of the Labour Party.
Well, thank you very much. I think I was in your program on Sunday with one of our fellow, the spokesperson for the new constituted technical committee, one Mr. Anthony Akene, wherein he argued that there was no fashion in Labour Party. And I told him, I said, that was wrong. There are several fashions. Now, and I also remember saying that day that Callistus Okafor, as of 2020, when Abdul Salam, the then national chairman of Labour Party, died, Callistus Okafor was the deputy national chairman of the party. In effect, by Labour Party Constitution, particularly Article 14, paragraph 2B, it provides expressly that in the absence of the national chairman, the deputy national chairman shall step in. So naturally, Callistus Okafor was supposed to step in as the acting national chairman upon the demise of Alhaji Abdul Salam. Unfortunately, for whatever reason, some power play twisted the whole thing, and Callistus Okafor was technically pushed aside, and the man went to court. And as I speak to you today, the matter is still pending before Supreme Court, because he was challenging the illegality of bringing in Abure, who was, as at the time of Abdul Salam, a national chairman of the, a national secretary rather, a national secretary of the party. And that if the national chairman dies for whatever reason or is no longer available, the next person in hierarchy is the deputy national chairman. And don't also forget, we have the assistant national chairman. Apart from deputy national chairman, we also have assistant national chairman. So in other words, when there's no national chairman, the next person becomes the deputy national chairman. And if there's no deputy national chairman, you now have assistant national chairman. So it doesn't get to the position of the secretary, national secretary, which Abure occupied as at the time Abdul Salam died. So he has a claim. Okay. He has a claim.
Oh, all right, but then the Apankpa faction, seems to have thrown their weight behind the Abure-led executives. Now, is it the case of the enemy of my enemy is my friend?
Well, I think so. And don't also forget, when the issue of Abure started in late 2020 and early 2023, I was also part of that issue because I represented Apapa in court severally against Abure, despite the fact that myself and Abure were from the same senatorial district in Edo State. But because I felt that the act there was not proper, so I took up the matter against Abure. Now, what happened was that Apapa, when the Callistus was not allowed to take over, he went to court, or he rushed to court, and the party suspended him. So as a result of that suspension, you can't say he is a member of the party after that material point in time. So when Abure was restrained in 2023 by the Federal FCT High Court, Apapa at that time became the acting national chairman of the party. And he told everybody that Abure was corrupt. The like of the people that are parading themselves today as stakeholders, spearheaded by His Excellency Peter Obi and the governor of Abia State, they all called for the head of Apapa, saying that Apapa has no right to say Abure was corrupt, and that Abure is a saint, that Abure is the most righteous man on earth, and that Apapa has been bribed by the APC government. And today, the same thing Apapa was talking about then in 2022, 2023, they have now come to see it. And then without anybody even apologizing to Apapa, they now want him to join them. It's not possible. Say they said Abure is a saint, Apapa has now joined them to call Abure a saint. That is the issue.
Barrister Mawa, now, according to the INEC, Abure has actually served his term because it ended, in June 2024. And this is what they're saying. He served his term as the Labour Party chairman. Now, does this actually justify the emergence of this new faction and also the Nenadi Usman Caretaker Committee?
My sister, that is wrong on their part. It does not justify them in any form. The reason is simple. Article 14, paragraph 1 of the Labour Party Constitution expressly provides that the meeting of the party shall be called by the National Secretary with the consent of the National Chairman. The question then we ask ourselves is this. The meeting that was called, that brought about Nanadi, who called the meeting? The meeting was called by the governor of Abia State, His Excellency Oti. The next question is Oti the National Secretary of the Labour Party? No! And therefore, that meeting that purportedly brought in Nanadi in itself is a wrong meeting. And any outcome of that meeting is also wrong. Because the law is that you cannot put something on nothing and expect it to stand. Or you cannot, illegality cannot be beget. Or you can't beget legality by illegality. So that meeting itself is a product of illegality. And being a product of illegality, it can never beget legality. So the Caretaker Committee purportedly set up and presided over by Nanadi in itself is illegal. Don't forget, my sister, let me quickly tell you, Abure himself has approached the court now against INEC, asking the court to compel INEC not to accept or recognize the leadership of Nenadi. And also, Nenadi and his group have also gone to court, Abia State High Court. And the matter came up today to say court should restrain Abure from parading himself as a national chairman. So, my dear, there is so much in Labour Party today. So the truth, there are so many issues, so many fashion as we stand and as we speak today.
All right, Barrister Mawa, now that the Edo State governorship election is just by the corner, do you think that this leadership crisis will impact Labour Party's participation in the elections? Just briefly, please.
Definitely. I hope you are aware that I'm also the deputy governorship candidate of Labour Party in Edo State for the Apapa fashion. Our matter is before the Supreme Court as I speak to you now. And between now, either tomorrow or next tomorrow, the Supreme Court might rule in our favor, and yours sincerely will become the deputy governorship candidate for the Edo State gubernatorial election. As I speak to you today, there is no national chairman that is presiding or superintending over the campaign in Edo State, which is very, very detrimental. Because Obi is a former presidential candidate of the party. He's not the national chairman of the party. There is no national secretary of the party. There is even not, because the law is that by Article 14, sub 1 of the Labour Party Constitution, it is the duty of the national chairman to preside over all meetings and to constitute any committee of the party. So as it stands today, there's no committee for campaign in Edo State. An election is just a few days away from now. So this crisis has already impacted, not it will impact, it has already impacted negatively.
All right,
in the forthcoming election. And it's unfortunate. Ordinarily, we would have been able to win Edo State in a landslide manner. But I fear what lie ahead of us in Edo State.
After all said and done, may the best man win come this weekend. But thank you so much, Barrister Mawa, for speaking with us and also for your time.
Thank you very much.
Now let's move to a business-related story. Reactions have trailed Nigeria's inflation rate that slowed for 2 consecutive months from 34.19% in June to 33.40% in July and now 32.15% in August. According to the Consumer Price Index report released by the National Bureau of Statistics on Monday, the headline inflation rate eased to 32.15% in August 2024, while food inflation stood at 37.52% in the same month. The NBS said food inflation rate in August 2024 was 37.52% on year-on-year basis, which was 8.18% points higher compared to the rate recorded in August 2023, which stood at 29.34%. Now, joining us to unpack this is President, Association of Small Business Owners in Nigeria, Femi Egbeshola. Hello, Femi. Thank you so much for joining us at this time.
Thank you for having me. Good evening from this part of the world.
It's a pleasure. All right, can you speak to us on what you feel the factors that contributed to the slowing of the inflation rate from previous months to 32.15% in August are?
Well, according to the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, the influencer for the drop in inflation rate really is about prices of food and food commodities being stable and some of it coming down. And they highlighted quite a number of food items, including vegetable oil, grains, millets, and all of that. And that to them is the reason for the slow rate or the drop in inflation rates. But if you ask me, really, I think it's too early to be excited about this news. For us in the business sector, we are not really seeing the impact of a reduction in the inflation rate. We are not really seeing, from our own perspective, we cannot really say that inflation rate has really dropped because prices of goods and commodities that we buy and we sell is always on the rise for the past many months. Again, also, you will discover that now that we have the increase in the pump price of petroleum, it is also pushing up prices of commodities across board, and this is also a push up for inflation. So as much as we have that news, I think it's too early for us to begin to celebrate. Okay. I think we need to wait till more and see what intervention government is doing and how it's going to play out.
All right, but then which specific sectors or categories experienced significant changes, in inflation rates, and how did these changes influence the overall rate?
Well, like I did mention, the food sector actually, in a way, became stable in the past few months. It became stable. I think this is due to some of the federal government intervention, particularly in the agricultural sector. And I think this is some of the things that are playing out now, that we have some form of stability in the price of food. There are also some intervention in the transport section and also in the health section, which is also, in a way, may reduce inflation in the long run. But in the immediate, we are not really seeing the impact. It's one thing to say that inflation has reduced. It's another thing to see it on the street, to see it in the livelihood of an average Nigerian. It's another thing to see it reflecting in our businesses. So prices of goods and commodities are still going up, although, like I did say, prices of food is becoming stable at this time.
Okay, Femi, now, but what about other economic indicators? Which of them have shown significant correlations with the recent inflation rates change?
You will discover also that government is trying to bring up some form of intervention to support business at this time. And it is somehow working out in the sense that it's been able to bring about some stability, particularly now that businesses cannot approach the banks because of the high rate of their interest. And again, too, you discover that government is also trying to, in a way, liberalize some policies, particularly when it comes to taxes. That is also helping businesses to remain afloat this time. These indicators, in a way, is also helping to cushion the effect of high prices that we have been facing for some months now. And I believe that over time, in the long run, we should be seeing some form of fall in price of goods and commodities. We should be seeing decrease in inflation. But at the moment, I am not too sure that this decrease that is announced by the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics is really reflecting on an average Nigerian and on our businesses.
All right, speaking of the decrease, you did say that it is not time for us to celebrate yet, and especially when you go to the markets and, it doesn't reflect in the cost of food products. But how does this current inflation rate of 32.15% affect consumer purchasing power and also spending behavior?
Well, if indeed we are able to see reduction in inflation, it means that we will be able to, an average Nigerian should be able to have more income, more disposable income to buy more products this time because it is expected to be cheaper. And that will also translate to better livelihood and well-being of an average citizen. And if the average consumer is able to buy more, then the companies, the businesses will also thrive well because they will also be able to sell more of their products and services and earn more profit and do better in their business. It also means that when businesses are doing better, they'll be able to also employ more people, and that will also reduce poverty level and crime in the society. So by and large, if inflation begins to slow down, it is going to have very positive impact on the economy. And I'm happy that the first push of inflation this time has been food. And this time, food is being arrested, the price of food is being arrested to some degree. We have quite a number of states coming up to subsidize food here and there, to also incentivize the agricultural sector, to also provide some form of capacity building for farmers and those who are engaged in the agricultural value chain. Over time, I did believe that this is going to work out, it's going to really affect and bring down inflation because that's the major driver of inflation. And then I also see that government is also trying to bring out some fiscal policies that is expected to arrest inflation over time. If all of these come together and work out, we're going to have a big step in arresting inflation, and that will be better for every Nigerian because that is the yearning of everyone at this time.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Femi, for taking time out to speak to us on this.
Thank you always.
Away from that, as primary and secondary schools in Nigeria commence the beginning of a new session, conversation surrounding curriculum development is being brought to the fore again by educators. While the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council, NERDC, has introduced competency-based curriculum frameworks to equip students with the skills and knowledge required to succeed in the 21st century, educators highlight some of the challenges the country's curriculum is faced with. News Central's Omolola Ololade tells us more in this report.
English language, mathematics, social studies, basic science and technology are core subjects that make up the Nigerian primary educational curriculum. Although this primary school curriculum plays a vital role in shaping young minds and laying the foundation for future learning, some students express their optimism in learning new subjects and relevant skills, particularly at primary school level.
I would like cooking to be a subject because I like cooking.
I love English. It's my best subject. Tailor, baking, cooking.
Creating standards within the curriculum remains pivotal for educational quality, especially as it provides educators with a roadmap for designing effective lesson plans, assessing student progress, and identifying areas of improvement.
We do a review of our curriculum every term. We don't just teach a topic this term and teach the next term. We do a review and we make sure that the children are learning something new. We don't just focus on just Nigeria curriculum alone. We go outside because we're raising innovative leaders for global influence.
We try to make use of e-learning to improve the standard of education of our students. So with this exposure, it also makes them to be advanced. We try to introduce some new ideas, some teaching cultures that will improve the standard of the curriculum also for the betterment of the students.
There is no doubt that the primary school curriculum has undergone several revisions by the Nigerian Educational Research and Development Council over the years to align with changing societal needs and global educational trends. However, despite the curriculum's critical role, numerous challenges and issues hinder its effectiveness, impacting the quality of education nationwide.
You find out that children overseas are very concrete. They have enough materials to explore. That's something that we don't have enough of in Nigeria. So you see the children, they're learning, there are no resources for them. They're teaching them home economics. There's no practical. They're teaching them agriculture, and agriculture is just staying in the classroom. They're teaching them about sports, and it's just on the board. There are no practicals to that. So the measurement is, how is this curriculum, how is this content going to be relevant for the children in a way that they can make use of it?
For years, the curriculum has served as a blueprint guiding teachers, parents, and policymakers in crafting a holistic experience for children. Hence, the need for policymakers to continue to prioritize curriculum development. In Lagos, for News Central, Omolola Ololade.
The news continues in West Africa, where the Al-Qaeda link group Jamaat Nusrat al-Islam wal-Muslimin, JNRM, has claimed responsibility for an attack on a military airport and training center in Mali's capital, Bamako. The jihadist group said on its communication channels that a special operation had targeted the military airport and the training center of the Malian gendarmes in the center of the Malian capital this morning at dawn. This has caused huge human and material losses and the destruction of several military aircraft. Meanwhile, the army said it had control of the situation in Bamako after what it called a foiled infiltration attempt by terrorists into a military police base.
Il y a eu une tentative d'infiltration un peu complexe au niveau de l'école de gendarmerie ici. Et depuis le premier coup de feu, voilà, on a déployé les forces. Et donc, je voudrais en un premier lieu vraiment rassurer les populations maliennes de dévaguer librement à leur affaire. La situation a été prise en compte par les forces armées maliennes. Les terroristes qui étaient infiltrés.
South Africa is set to host the highly anticipated Africa Aerospace and Defense 2024 exhibition at the Waterkloof Airspace Base in Pretoria. Now, the premier event is expected to take place between the 18th and the 22nd of September 2024, aimed at strengthening the continent's aerospace and defense sectors. News Central's Bongani Siziba has more.
South Africa prepares for the Africa Aerospace and Defense 2024. It is an exciting time to showcase innovations and capabilities that the nation possesses. News Central caught up with the Minister of Defense, Angie Motshekga.
For us, it's to first demonstrate our capabilities from our industry, but also from our state-owned entity. So we have your DNL, we have our own industry to showcase what we have, but also to know and learn what is the latest in the industry, what is the latest from Brazil, what is the latest from China. We're expecting other countries. So that we're also quite au fait about what is the latest technology, either in the airspace, the water space, or even the land space.
This landmark event will not only attract key players from the global defense community, but will also create a platform for collaborations and knowledge exchange across Africa.
But more than anything, it's really because we not only into defense, we also, as a country, want to market our way to the world. We already export to a number of countries, so it's to also expose our local industry.
The minister also acknowledged the relationship between South Africa and Nigeria, urging African countries to work together.
You know, because we're just one continent with different lines that separate us. The safety in Nigeria, the security in Zimbabwe, the security in the Moroccans, is also our security, because now with advanced technology, missiles can be launched, I'm told, as far as 1,000 Ks, which is really a large range. So we need to as African continents ourselves to be able to work together.
Africa Aerospace and Defense 2024 will feature demonstrations of cutting-edge technologies, discussions with industry leaders, and opportunities for networking, ensuring that Africa is engaged in shaping its own defense future. The event also focuses on youth engagement and skills development, inspiring the next generation to pursue careers in aerospace and defense and vital sectors for the development of the African continent. The event is a pivotal moment where collaboration defense strategies are more important than ever. The benefits extend beyond the military, fostering economic growth, job creation, and regional security. At the Waterkloof Air Force Base in Pretoria, for News Central, Wongani Siziba.
Still ahead. Dozens of Hezbollah members reportedly injured by exploding pages. We'll tell you more after the break. Join us again. In other news from around the world, hundreds of Hezbollah members have reportedly been injured after the handheld pagers they use for communication exploded. Now, according to Lebanon's state news agency, blasts occurred in the southern suburbs of Beirut and several other locations. Hezbollah's Al-Manar TV confirmed the incidents, saying many pages had detonated, though it did not specify the number of casualties. Videos and photos on social media show injured men lying on floors and others being rushed to hospitals. A Hezbollah official described the incident as the biggest security breach yet since hostilities with Israel intensified 11 months ago in parallel with the Gaza conflict. UN member states will today debate a push by the Palestinians to formally demand an end to the Israeli occupation of the Palestinian territories within 12 months. The text, which has faced fierce criticism from Israel, is based around an advisory opinion from the International Court of Justice calling Israel's occupation since 1967 unlawful. The General Assembly requested that Israel is under an obligation to bring to an end its unlawful presence to the occupied Palestinian territory as rapidly as possible. In response, Arab countries have called for a special session of the Assembly just days before dozens of heads of state and government descend on the UN headquarters this month to address the kickoff of this year's General Assembly session. In business, amid a backdrop of fuel scarcity and long queues at petrol stations across Nigeria, discussions have been sparked about the adequacy of NNPCL's product supply and its impact on the market. On the Business Edge show, Ukadike Chinedu, the national spokesperson of the Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, addressed concerns regarding allegations that the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited sells substandard fuel.
It's not correct because we have the NNDPR. The NNDPR is the people that satisfy quality and quantity of products that is being distributed by NNPCL. And in all the depots, you have NNDPR that checks the quality of the product before we do independent marketers. And since we have been collecting NNPC fuel, we have not had any problem. It was sometimes in like 2-3 years ago that they brought in fuel that had ethanol. And they came out publicly and apologized that this fuel they brought recently has enough ethanol that marketers should return them back to the refinery and the depot so that it can be recycled or it can be blended.
In the world of sports, the intense rivalry between Africa's top table tennis nations, Egypt and Nigeria, will be reignited at the 2024 ITTF African Championships. This prestigious event will take place in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia from October 12 to 19. Serving as qualifiers for the 2024 ITTF Mixed Team Cup in China and the 2025 World Championships in Qatar, the tournament will feature top teams and regional champions competing in 2 team events and 5 individual events. That's the men's teams, the women's teams, the men's singles, women's singles, the men's doubles, women's doubles, and mixed doubles. The tournament returns to Ethiopia for the first time in 24 years. Reigning champions Egypt will face fierce competition from arch-rivals Nigeria, along with strong contenders like Tunisia and Algeria. Still talking sports, the final draw for the CAF Beach Soccer Africa Cup of Nations, Egypt 2024, will take place in Cairo on Thursday, 19 September 2024. The tournament, which will see the 8 qualified nations divided into 2 groups of 4, is expected to be another thrilling African beach soccer experience, with all eyes on reigning champions Senegal as they aim for their 5th championship title. Other participating teams include Ghana, Morocco, Tanzania, Mauritania, Mozambique, Malawi, and hosts Egypt. The tournament is scheduled from 19 to 26 October 2024 in the Egyptian beach resort town of Hurghada on the Red Sea coast. The Beach Soccer Africa Cup of Nations is a qualifying competition for the FIFA Beach Soccer World Cup 2025 set to be hosted by Seychelles next year. Fenerbahce defender Bright Osai Emmanuel has returned to training following a short injury layoff. Osai Samuel, has been sidelined since sustaining an injury in the Fenerbahce's 2-2 draw at Göztepe last month. The Nigerian international has missed the club's last 3 league games due to his setback. He also missed out on Nigeria's 2025 Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers against Benin Republic and Rwanda. Osai Samuel is in line to make his return to action in Fenerbahce's Istanbul derby clash with Galatasaray on Saturday. And that's all at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of our major stories. You heard that President Tinubu has signed bill to establish National Center for Control of Small Arms and Light Weapons. You also heard that NLC, Abure-led National Working Committee, have rejected new faction. Finally, we told you that Al-Qaeda-linked group JNIM has claimed responsibility for Mali attack. Send your eyewitness report to the WhatsApp number on the screen. Do follow us on social media. We are at News Central TV. You can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, Star Times channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I'm Dashen Usman.